Today I'm going to talk about instancology for philosophers. So, for philosophers, we are professionals. We do not want many not related things and any other explanations, extra detailed explanations is not necessary. You know what you are doing, and you have been doing this for many years, I suppose. So I just go straight into this content. I'd like to see if it's reasonable and sort of like the colleagues or peer review, they call it, when you publish it, and see what it is. And if you are reasonable or whatever you are talking is valuable to you. Okay? Uh, this topic is instancology to philosophers. First, uh, let me write it down. All right, instancology to philosophers. Okay, the field of philosophy really has been through uneven period of time, from ancient Greek till present. I think this is the lowest point in the past, like nearly a century, roughly 70 years, ever since passing away our Wittgenstein on the analytical world and Heidegger on the continental world. Ever since, there's no big uh, philosophy or system ever talked about or discussed. We had some uh, minor theories like Derrida's destructionism and or modernism or postmodernism. They are not really major part of the philosophy. You know, in philosophy we talk about three things: ontology, epistemology, and the value studies. That is the ethics, basically the three. With the logic as a tool in between through all three fields. That's what we're doing. As a matter of fact, especially in recent years, we move more and more to the first two parts, ontology and epistemology. All right. So in a way, Derrida's deconstructionism or even analytical studies are considered tools, in my opinion. They are not related to the fundamental search for truth, which is the target of philosophy for 2,500 years. Ontologically speaking, we do not have progress for the past 70 years. Uh, that's a problem. So in psychology, I regard it as advance and advance or progress, but actually it completes the whole circle of philosophical search for the truth. Uh, I'll let you know, I'll show you how it is so. I'll let you judge. So I'll go straight into the first part, introduction. All right, introduction. For introduction, I'm going to talk about the history of philosophy. To my mind, any valuable academics, if it's valuable, it must inherit from history. You know this field, you can gather the fruits of the previous philosophers and stand on the shoulder of the past philosophical giants, like what Newton said. So only by doing that, you can make a real advance. That's what I believed. So I'll trace the whole cycle, the past history of philosophy, ontologically, and to show you how Instancology develops from this all past 2,500 years. And you can judge if my understanding is correct in the past philosophers, so that my Instancology is correct too. Okay, first let's start with Parmenides. I do not want to start from Phileas or Thales or the other Alexander, Aleximini things, philosophers like that, and things like earth, water, earth, air, infinite, things like that. No, I just straight to the core. All right, the most essential part of the ontology in philosophy. The first person is Parmenides. Parmenides' being has some significance. To me, it's a launching part of this whole search. He raises the question what philosophy study should be. His being, according to him, according to his element, he has only incomplete element left for us. In that, he stresses again and again, being is the thing you should go forward, study it, don't go with nothing. Nothing, start from nothing, you have nothing. So start from being, you will know something. This is a very salient, very thoughtful thinking, and versus Buddhism. You know, the Orient in the Buddhism of India, they preaches the whole world, everything is nothing, right? They start from there. So human being is suffering, things like that. That's exactly Parmenides or the West civilization goes against. Parmenides particularly goes against. You should study from being, not from nothing. That's a very, very important. Okay, so Parmenides' being, in a way, it's thinking, the being of in your thought, in your thinking. For Parmenides, if you realize the truth, then that is the truth of the reality. That is outside of your brain, then. Because according to him, God is smart. God cannot like truth. Let truth come from two places. One is the reality, one is your mind. The thoughts, the truth, the being must be the same, identical as the truth of the reality. You see, how convincing argument. Actually, it is. But anyway, from his point of view, the being is being in thoughts. You should think about being, not nothing. When you talk about being or nothing, it's from your mind, your concept. So that is a basic starting point or launchpad for the whole search in the next 2,500 years. So Parmenides started this question. He raised a question. Next figure, philosopher, is Plato. Plato's contribution is mostly in his idea of the forms. The forms are, according to him, the blueprint for everything else. For example, he says the blue of the sky and the blue of the pants are the same. They share the same blueness. The blueness is the form. You have a cat, I have a cat, but the idea of a cat, that's a form, is the truth of a cat. Maybe your cat is yellow, my cat is black. It doesn't matter. It's still a cat. People get the idea of a cat from the form. So he says the form is the truth. That's his wonderful idea. So we start from Parmenides' being, and Plato moved one step further, saying that being is a form. That's the real thing. Whatever is other things is just a copies. His famous analogy is the cave story, right? I do not need to iterate. Everybody knows. So that's his example to show the reality versus what you imagined or what you see with your senses, what the real world is, and things like that. You are always got food by whatever your sense feel. They are not true. They are changing. They are fluid. They change it all the time. So you need to grasp whatever behind it. According to him, it's a form. Okay? After Plato, of course, his student, Aristotle. Aristotle goes the other way. He says whatever the form or whatever Plato, his teacher, talked about is from the material or source of material source, from reality. Now we say that. From experience. So experience is the real thing. From experience, we formed in our thoughts the whatever form. That's Aristotle's idea. And basically, this is an ontological move from being, Parmenides' being, Plato's form, to Aristotle's reality or material source is progress, you can see. So we still go on for this search, pursuit. Of course, other philosophers read like water, air, infinite, earth. In the Orient, in China, people say it's wood and also fire, as in West. Democritus. A lot of other elements they count as ontological basis for whatever we see, basic elements. All right, after Aristotle, then in the 1,000 years of so-called Dark Ages of Middle centuries, Middle Kingdom, or whatever you call it, Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, people, philosophers, mostly from the religious people, teachings like mostly from either Augustine or Aquinas or those people, all right? They just believe, mixed belief with what they search, the reason, the two sides put together. Believe in God. They try to prove God is everything. God decides everything, all right? Things like that. I just ignore that part. Then we come to Descartes. The French philosopher Descartes is the modern time, the father of modern philosophy. What Descartes made for the progress of searching ontology is the thinking. Descartes regards thinking as the only true thing left. Whatever he threw out of the bucket, then whatever left is the only thing thinking. So he says, I think, therefore I am. This is true. This is reality. I can be certain. Because without thinking, I cannot be myself. I cannot be even say things, right? So that's his idea. Other things can be either changeable or not real, or can be fooled. And he imagined a demon somehow trick you on purpose, so everything is possible, he says. He has 6 or 7 inquiry about that, what he wrote, he thought. But the important thing is thinking to him now becomes real, the real of all the reality. This is sort of tracing back to Parmenides. Parmenides said earlier, being, that's in your thinking. But Descartes proves it. Thinking is the only true thing. All right? All right. So Descartes' mind is the development of this ontological search for truth. After Descartes, I have to mention Kant's noumenon. According to Kant, there is something which is called the formation or discipline of the mind. All the categories, the 12 categories, according to him. Because of the noumenon thing. The noumenon is something we cannot touch, we cannot feel. We don't know why. We don't know how. But we know because we have a transcendental experience. It transcends our experience. We have the formation of all the disciplines, all the categories. That's Kant's idea. All right? Okay? Next, we have the big guy, Hegel. Hegel, in a way, big. Because Hegel's idea of the world ontologically is actually the movement. He not only pointed out being, reality, and the spirit, he got it alive. The pre-logic, the existence of the logic moves from its pure form to reality, then to the spirit, come to the mind eventually. You see the movement for Hegel? That's what his contribution. In other words, not only specific or particular element of the reality or experience or mind, which is an ontological target for us to pursue. It's more than that. It is not there, it's moving. So that's Hegel's contribution. And many people, when they read Hegel, they don't see it. They get something like contradictory dialectics. That's just a method. The negation, after negation, the double negation, things like that. They get that. But that's only implied. It's not Hegel's true purpose. Hegel says his idea nobody understands when he died. Actually, his idea is movement, the whole movement. If you grasp that, you basically get, I believe, what the essence of Hegel's idea. I know Hegel is difficult for a lot of people, even for philosophers. And I know. But that's the true essence of Hegel thing. If you believe, if you can see that, the movement, you can see the past journey from Parmenides to Hegel. He got Parmenides being, developed that idea, the Plato's form, make it a pre-logic, the being, nothing, becoming, things like that, the whole theories. Of course, it's not science, so you cannot study his book like you read the mathematics textbook or physics. But his idea is expressed in that convoluted language, and I don't know. He made it so mysterious. But actually, his major idea is simple, although it's not easy to understand. So Hegel is sort of a guy who really has a lot of influence in my Instancology. And I got his idea, I know what he meant, and what he studied before. And his idea really have some influence on Instancology. All right, after Hegel, I must say Heidegger's being. All right, everybody knows Heidegger's being. Well, let's say this. Heidegger's being, what's the difference from Parmenides' being? You see the circle here. From being to being, where else can you go? It's already a circle, complete. If we say Parmenides' being is from thinking, the concept in your mind, Heidegger's being mostly aims to the reality. Although he says, Dasein is there, then, but these two words, then and there, are time dimension and space dimension. spatial temporal dimensions, right? In our current scientific terms. For the dimensions, it can be there, it can be without them. It not necessarily has two dimensions. So that's the difference. When Heidegger says being, he sounds like we have nowhere else to search for. We already come to being. Where can we go? Nothing? No, nothing is a part of being, right? I have an iPhone. If I lost it, it's nothing. So nothing is part of the attribute of the being. You cannot make nothing as a starting point. Parmenides showed it to you already. If you don't have the concept of being, you can never ever have the concept of nothing. So nothing is an attribute of being. You cannot use it as a starting point. And Hegel pointed that out very clearly too. The first category for Hegel is being. The next one is nothing. Being nothing becomes